Statistics is the science of collecting, analyzing, presenting, and interpreting data. It plays a crucial role in various fields, from scientific research to business decision-making. Here are the key points. Data collection. Statistics begins with data. Data are facts and figures that we collect from observations, experiments, surveys, or other sources. These data can be classified into two main types. Quantitative data, these measure how much or how many. Examples include age, income, temperature, and weight. Qualitative data, these provide labels or names for categories. Examples include gender, male/female, marital status, single/married/divorced, and educational level. Variables represent the characteristics we study, and each individual in our sample has associated data values for these variables. Descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics summarize and describe data. Common methods include measures of central tendency, mean, average, median, middle value, and mode, most frequent value. Measures of dispersion, range, variance, and standard deviation. Graphical representations, bar charts, histograms, scatter plots, etc. Inferential statistics. Inferential statistics allow us to make predictions or draw conclusions about a larger population based on a smaller sample. Techniques include hypothesis testing, confidence intervals, and regression analysis. Applications. Business and economics. Companies use statistics for market research, forecasting, quality control, and financial analysis. Social sciences. Sociologists, psychologists, and political scientists use statistics to study human behavior. Natural sciences. Biologists, ecologists, and physicists analyze experimental data. Healthcare and medicine, clinical trials, epidemiology, and medical research rely on statistical methods. Mathematical foundations. Statistics draws heavily from mathematics. Calculus, used for probability distributions and continuous data. Linear algebra, essential for regression models and matrix operations. Probability theory, forms the basis for statistical inference. In summary, statistics empowers us to extract meaningful insights from data, make informed decisions, and understand the world around us. Central limit theorem (CLT). The central limit theorem is one of the most fundamental theorems in statistics. It states that when you have a large sample size, the distribution of the sample means approximates a normal distribution, regardless of the underlying population distribution. Key points: applies to independent, identically distributed random variables. As sample size increases, the distribution of sample means approaches a normal distribution. The mean of this normal distribution is equal to the population mean. The standard deviation of this distribution, standard error, is equal to the population standard deviation divided by the square root of the sample size. Implications: allows for statistical inference and hypothesis testing. Justifies the use of many parametric statistical methods. Explains why many natural phenomena follow a normal distribution law of large numbers. This theorem states that as the sample size increases, the sample mean converges to the population mean. There are two versions of this law. A weak law of large numbers states that for a large sample size, the probability that the sample mean deviates from the population mean by more than a small amount approaches 0. B strong law of large numbers states that the sample mean almost surely converges to the population mean. Implications: provides a theoretical foundation for the concept of expected value. Justifies the use of sample statistics to estimate population parameters. Explains why increasing sample size generally improves estimation accuracy. Bayes' theorem. Bayes' theorem describes the probability of an event based on prior knowledge of conditions that might be related to the event. It's expressed as P a B equals P B a asterisk P a / P B, where P a B is the posterior probability of a given B. P B a is the likelihood of B given a. P a is the prior probability of a. P(b) is the marginal probability of B. Implications: fundamental to Bayesian statistics and inference. Allows updating of probabilities as new information becomes available. Widely used in machine learning, particularly in classification problems. Beshev's inequality. This theorem provides an upper bound for the probability that a random variable deviates from its mean by more than a certain amount. It states that for any probability distribution with finite mean mu and variance 2, the probability that a value falls outside k standard deviations from the mean is at most 1/k2. Px mu greater than or equal to k less than or equal to 1/k2. Implications: applies to any probability distribution with finite mean and variance. Provides a conservative estimate for the probability of extreme values. Useful in proving the weak law of large numbers theorem of total probability. This theorem relates marginal probabilities to conditional probabilities. It states that for a set of mutually exclusive and exhaustive events B1, B2, Bn, the probability of an eventer is P at equals P a B1, P B1 plus P a B2, P B2 plus P a Bn, P Bn. Implications allows calculation of marginal probabilities from conditional probabilities. Useful in decision theory and Bayesian inference. Forms the basis for many probabilistic graphical models. Gauss-Markov theorem. This theorem states that in a linear regression model where the errors have expectation 0 and are uncorrelated and have equal variances, the ordinary least squares (OLS) estimator is the best linear unbiased estimator. Blue. Implications justifies the use of OLS in many statistical applications. Provides a theoretical basis for the optimality of linear regression under certain conditions. Helps in understanding when more complex estimation methods might be necessary. These theorems form the backbone of statistical theory and practice. They provide the foundation for many statistical methods and help us understand the behavior of random variables and estimators. Classical inference, also known as frequentist inference, is a fundamental approach to statistical analysis and hypothesis testing. It forms the basis for many statistical methods commonly used in research and data analysis. Let me explain the key aspects of classical inference in detail. Fundamental concept: classical inference is based on the frequency interpretation of probability. It assumes that if an experiment were repeated infinitely many times under identical conditions, the relative frequency of an event would converge to its true probability. This approach treats parameters as fixed, unknown constants and aims to make inferences about these parameters based on observed data. Key components: A. Population and sample. Population, the entire group about which we want to draw conclusions. Sample, a subset of the population that we actually observe and analyze. B. Parameters and statistics. Parameters, unknown, fixed values that characterize the population, for example, population mean mu, population standard deviation sigma. Statistics, calculable values from the sample data that estimate the population parameters, for example, sample mean x, sample standard deviation s. Estimation, classical inference involves two main types of estimation. A. Point estimation provides a single best guess for the value of a population parameter. Common methods include maximum likelihood estimation, MLE, and method of moments. Examples: sample mean as an estimate of population mean, sample proportion as an estimate of population proportion. B. Interval estimation provides a range of plausible values for the parameter, typically with an associated confidence level. Confidence intervals are the most common form of interval estimation. Interpretation: if we repeated the sampling process many times and calculated the interval each time, the true parameter value would fall within the interval in a certain percentage of cases, for example, 95% for a 95% confidence interval. Hypothesis testing, a crucial aspect of classical inference, involving A. Null hypothesis, H0 a statement of no effect or no difference, typically representing the status quo. B. Alternative hypothesis, H1 or Ha the hypothesis we're testing against the null, often representing the research question. C. Test statistic, a value calculated from sample data used to make decisions about the null hypothesis. D. P-value, the probability of obtaining test results at least as extreme as the observed results, assuming the null hypothesis is true. Used to decide whether to reject the null hypothesis. E. Significance level, alpha the threshold for the p-value below which we reject the null hypothesis, commonly set at 0.05 or 0.01. Types of errors. Classical inference acknowledges two types of errors in hypothesis testing. A. Type I error, rejecting the null hypothesis when it's actually true. Probability equals alpha, significance level. B. Type 2 error, failing to reject the null hypothesis when it's actually false. Probability equals beta. Power of a test equals 1 beta, ability to correctly reject a false null hypothesis, assumptions and limitations. A. Sampling distribution. Many classical methods assume a normal distribution of the sampling distribution, especially for large samples, due to the central limit theorem. B. Independence. Observations are often assumed to be independent of each other. C. Fixed parameters, assumes population parameters are fixed but unknown constants. D. Interpretation challenges, p-values and confidence intervals can be easily misinterpreted. Doesn't provide direct probability statements about parameters. Contrast with Bayesian inference. Classical inference differs from Bayesian inference in several key ways, doesn't incorporate prior beliefs about parameters, focuses on long-run frequency properties rather than subjective probabilities, provides indirect evidence about hypotheses rather than direct probability statements. Classical inference provides a structured framework for making decisions and drawing conclusions from data. It's widely used across various fields but requires careful interpretation and understanding of its underlying principles and limitations. Bayesian inference is a powerful statistical approach that provides a framework for updating beliefs about unknown parameters or hypotheses based on observed data. It's named after Thomas Bayes, an 18th-century statistician and philosopher. Let's explore the key aspects of Bayesian inference in detail. Fundamental concept: Bayesian inference is based on Bayes' theorem, which describes how to update the probability of a hypothesis given new evidence. It treats probability as a measure of belief or uncertainty, rather than long-run frequency. This approach allows for the incorporation of prior knowledge and the direct calculation of probabilities for hypotheses. Key components: A prior distribution represents our initial beliefs about the parameter or hypothesis before observing any data. Can be based on previous studies, expert knowledge, or sometimes chosen to be non-informative. B likelihood, the probability of observing the data given a particular value of the parameter, represents how well the data supports each possible parameter value. C posterior distribution, the updated probability distribution of the parameter after observing the data, combines the prior distribution with the likelihood of the observed data. D evidence, marginal likelihood, the total probability of observing the data under all possible parameter values, acts as a normalizing constant in Bayes' theorem. Bayes' theorem, the core of Bayesian inference is Bayes' theorem. P theta d equals P d theta asterisk P theta / P d, where P theta d is the posterior probability of the parameter theta given the data d. P d theta is the likelihood of the data given the parameter. P theta is the prior probability of the parameter. P d is the evidence, marginal likelihood, inference process. A specify prior, choose a prior distribution that represents initial beliefs about the parameter. B collect data, gather relevant data to update our beliefs. C calculate likelihood, determine how likely the observed data is under different parameter values. D compute posterior, use Bayes' theorem to combine the prior and likelihood, yielding the posterior distribution. E summarize posterior, extract relevant information from the posterior, for example, point estimates, credible intervals. Advantages of Bayesian inference: A incorporation of prior knowledge, allows formal inclusion of existing information or expert knowledge. B direct probability statements, provides probabilities for parameters and hypotheses, not just indirect evidence. C natural handling of uncertainty, the posterior distribution fully captures uncertainty about parameters. D flexibility, can handle complex models and hierarchical structures. E sequential updating, naturally accommodates sequential data analysis, using the posterior as the new prior. Key concepts in Bayesian analysis: A credible intervals, Bayesian equivalent of confidence intervals, directly interpretable as a probability range for the parameter. B Bayes factors, used for model comparison and hypothesis testing. Ratio of the marginal likelihoods of two competing models. C posterior predictive distributions, used for predicting future observations based on the current model and data. D Markov chain Monte Carlo, MCMC computational method often used to sample from complex posterior distributions. Challenges and considerations: A prior sensitivity, results can be sensitive to the choice of prior, especially with limited data. B computational complexity, complex models may require sophisticated computational techniques. C interpretability, requires clear communication of priors and their impact on results. D subjectivity, the incorporation of prior beliefs can be seen as a strength or weakness, depending on the context. Applications: Bayesian inference is widely used in various fields, including machine learning and artificial intelligence, epidemiology and medical research, economics and finance, environmental science, cognitive science and psychology. Contrast with classical, frequentist inference, treats parameters as random variables, not fixed constants, provides direct probability statements about parameters, incorporates prior information formally, focuses on the observed data, not hypothetical repeated samples. Bayesian inference offers a coherent and intuitive framework for statistical reasoning, allowing for the integration of prior knowledge and the direct quantification of uncertainty. Its flexibility and interpretability make it increasingly popular across various disciplines, although it often requires more computational resources and careful consideration of prior specifications. Bayesian inference has become increasingly important in medical research and clinical practice. Its ability to incorporate prior knowledge, handle uncertainty, and provide intuitive probability statements makes it particularly valuable in medical decision-making. Let's explore in detail how Bayesian inference is used in medicine. Diagnostic testing. Bayesian inference is fundamental in interpreting diagnostic test results. A. Predictive values. Positive predictive value (PPV), the probability that a patient has a disease given a positive test result. Negative predictive value (NPV), the probability that a patient does not have a disease given a negative test result. B. Updating probabilities. Pre-test probability prior is updated with test results, likelihood, to obtain post-test probability posterior. This process helps clinicians interpret test results in the context of a patient-specific situation. See example: a doctor suspects a patient has a rare disease, 1% prevalence. A test with 95% sensitivity and 90% specificity comes back positive. Bayesian inference can calculate the probability the patient actually has the disease, considering both the test result and the disease's rarity. Clinical trial design and analysis. Bayesian methods offer several advantages in clinical trials. A. Adaptive trial designs allow for modifications to the trial based on interim results, can lead to more efficient trials, potentially requiring fewer participants or shorter duration. B. Subgroup analysis help identify patient subgroups that may respond differently to treatments, can incorporate prior knowledge about potential subgroup effects. C. Handling missing data provide a framework for imputing missing values based on observed data and prior knowledge. D. Synthesizing evidence combine results from multiple studies or data sources in a coherent framework. Personalized medicine. Bayesian approaches are crucial in tailoring treatments to individual patients. A. Treatment selection incorporate patient-specific factors and treatment history to estimate the probability of response to different treatments. B. Dose optimization use pharmacokinetic/pharmacodynamic models to predict optimal drug dosages for individual patients. C. Risk prediction develop and update personalized risk models for various health outcomes. Health technology assessment. Bayesian methods are used to evaluate the effectiveness and cost-effectiveness of new medical technologies. A. Decision modeling incorporate uncertainty in model parameters, provide probabilistic outputs useful for decision makers. B. Value of information analysis assess the potential value of conducting further research to reduce uncertainty. Epidemiology and public health. Bayesian inference is valuable in understanding disease spread and planning public health interventions. A. Disease mapping estimate disease rates in different geographical areas, accounting for spatial correlations. B. Outbreak detection monitor for potential disease outbreaks, updating probabilities as new data arrives. C. Vaccine efficacy estimate vaccine effectiveness, incorporating prior knowledge from lab studies and early clinical data. Meta-analysis. Bayesian methods offer advantages in synthesizing evidence across multiple studies. A. Hierarchical modeling account for between study heterogeneity, incorporate information from related but not identical studies. B. Network meta-analysis compare multiple treatments simultaneously, even when not all treatments have been directly compared in trials. Monitoring and safety. Bayesian approaches are used in ongoing monitoring of treatments and interventions. 8. Sequential monitoring update safety and efficacy estimates as new data becomes available, useful in post-marketing surveillance of drugs. B. Signal detection identify potential safety issues by analyzing adverse event reports. Medical imaging. Bayesian methods are applied in various aspects of medical imaging. A. Image reconstruction improve image quality by incorporating prior knowledge about tissue properties. B. Classification assist in diagnosing conditions based on imaging features. Challenges and considerations. While Bayesian inference offers many advantages in medicine, there are some challenges. A. Prior specification choosing appropriate priors can be contentious, especially for novel treatments. B. Computational complexity some Bayesian models require sophisticated computational techniques. C. Interpretation ensuring that clinicians and patients understand Bayesian probabilities correctly. D. Regulatory acceptance while growing, there's still a need for wider acceptance of Bayesian methods in regulatory decisions. Bayesian inference provides a powerful framework for medical decision-making, allowing for the integration of various sources of information and the quantification of uncertainty. Its ability to update beliefs based on new evidence aligns well with the iterative nature of medical knowledge and practice. As computational tools continue to improve, we can expect to see even wider adoption of Bayesian methods in medicine. Bayesian inference plays a crucial role in artificial intelligence, AI, providing a principled framework for reasoning under uncertainty and learning from data. Its applications span various subfields of AI, from machine learning to robotics. Let's explore in detail how Bayesian inference is used in artificial intelligence. Probabilistic graphical models, Bayesian networks and Markov random fields are powerful tools for representing and reasoning about complex systems. A. Representation, model dependencies between variables using directed or undirected graphs. Encode domain knowledge in the structure and parameters of the graph. B. Inference, compute probabilities of unobserved variables given observed evidence. Used in medical diagnosis, fault diagnosis in complex systems, and decision support systems. C. Learning, learn model structure and parameters from data. Combine domain expertise with data-driven learning. Machine learning, Bayesian approaches provide a principled way to handle uncertainty in learning. A. Bayesian parameter estimation, instead of point estimates, compute full posterior distributions over model parameters. Naturally handles uncertainty in parameter values. B. Model selection and averaging, compare different model structures using Bayes factors or posterior probabilities. Average predictions across multiple models, weighted by their posterior probabilities. C. Regularization, use priors to prevent overfitting, especially in high-dimensional spaces. Bayesian lasso and other Bayesian regularization techniques. D. Online learning, naturally update model beliefs as new data arrives. Useful in streaming data scenarios and adaptive systems. Deep learning, while traditional deep learning often uses non-Bayesian methods, Bayesian approaches are gaining traction. A. Bayesian neural networks represent uncertainty in network weights. Provide uncertainty estimates in predictions. B. Variational autoencoders use variational inference to learn latent representations of data. C. Dropout as Bayesian approximation, interpret dropout regularization as an approximation to Bayesian inference. Reinforcement learning, Bayesian methods help in dealing with the exploration-exploitation trade-off. A. Thompson sampling, select actions based on samples from the posterior distribution of action values. Efficiently balances exploration and exploitation. B. Bayesian Q-learning, maintain distributions over Q values rather than point estimates. Allows for more informed exploration strategies. C. Model-based IL, use Bayesian inference to learn and update the model of the environment. Enables more sample-efficient learning. Natural language processing, Bayesian methods are used in various NLP tasks. A. Topic modeling, latent Dirichlet allocation, LDA, is a Bayesian model for discovering topics in text corpora. B. Language model adaptation, adapt general language models to specific domains or users using Bayesian techniques. C. Word sense disambiguation, use Bayesian inference to determine the most likely meaning of a word in context. Computer vision, Bayesian approaches provide robust methods for image understanding. A. Object recognition, use Bayesian inference to combine evidence from multiple features or classifiers. B. Image segmentation, employ Markov random fields with Bayesian inference for robust segmentation. C. 3D reconstruction, incorporate prior knowledge about scene structure in Bayesian reconstruction algorithms. Robotics and autonomous systems, Bayesian methods are crucial for dealing with sensor uncertainty and decision-making. A. Simultaneous localization and mapping, SLAM, use Bayesian filtering to estimate robot position and map structure simultaneously. B. Path planning, incorporate uncertainty in motion and sensing into planning algorithms. C. Human-robot interaction, model human intentions and preferences using Bayesian inference. Anomaly detection, Bayesian methods provide principled ways to identify unusual patterns. A. Outlier detection, model normal behavior and identify data points with low likelihood. B. Change point detection, detect changes in time series data using Bayesian inference. Causal inference, Bayesian networks and related methods are used for causal reasoning. A. Causal discovery, infer causal relationships from observational data. B. Counterfactual reasoning, estimate effects of interventions using Bayesian causal models. Advantages and challenges. A. Advantages, principled handling of uncertainty, natural incorporation of prior knowledge. Provides full probability distributions, not just point estimates. Enables reasoning about unknown unknowns. B. Challenges, computational complexity, especially for large-scale problems. Specifying appropriate priors can be difficult. Interpretability of complex Bayesian models. Bayesian inference provides a powerful and flexible framework for AI systems to reason under uncertainty, learn from data, and make decisions. Its ability to incorporate prior knowledge, handle incomplete information, and provide uncertainty estimates makes it particularly valuable in complex, real-world AI applications. As computational techniques continue to advance, we can expect to see even broader adoption of Bayesian methods across various AI domains. The theory of probability is a fundamental branch of mathematics that deals with the study of randomness and uncertainty. It provides a framework for quantifying the likelihood of events and for making predictions in situations where outcomes are not certain. Let's explore the key aspects of probability theory in detail. Basic concepts. A sample space, the set of all possible outcomes of an experiment or random process, denoted by omega, omega. Example, for a coin toss, omega equals heads, tails. B. Event, a subset of the sample space. Can be simple, single outcome, or compound, multiple outcomes. Example, getting a heads in a coin toss is an event. C. Probability, a measure of the likelihood of an event occurring. Expressed as a number between 0, impossible, and 1, certain. Can be interpreted as relative frequency in the long run or as a degree of belief. Axioms of probability. Probability theory is built on 3 fundamental axioms, Kolmogorov axioms. A. Non-negativity P, a greater than or equal to 0 for any event A. B. Normalization P, omega, equals 1, the probability of the entire sample space is 1. C. Additivity, for mutually exclusive events A and B, P, a union set symbol B, equals P, A plus P, B. Probability rules. A. Complement rule P, A, equals 1, P, A, where A is the complement of A. B. Addition rule, for any 2 events P, a union set symbol B, equals P, A plus P, B, P, a mathematical intersection symbol B, generalizes to multiple events. C. Conditional probability P, a B, equals P, a mathematical intersection symbol B, / P, B, where P, B, 0, represents the probability of A occurring given that B has occurred. D. Multiplication rule P, a mathematical intersection symbol B, equals P, a B, asterisk P, B, equals P, B, A, asterisk P, A, E. Law of total probability, for mutually exclusive and exhaustive events B1, B2, Bn. P at equals P, a B1, P, B1, plus P, a B2, P, B2, plus P, a Bn, P, Bn, F, Bayes theorem P, a B, equals P, B, A, asterisk P, a / P, B. Fundamental for updating probabilities based on new evidence. Independence. A. 2 events A and B are independent if P, a mathematical intersection symbol B, equals P, A, asterisk P, B. B. Conditional independence. A and B are conditionally independent given C if P, a mathematical intersection symbol BC, equals P, a C, asterisk P, BC. Random variables. A. Definition, a function that assigns a real number to each outcome in the sample space. B. Types. Discrete, takes on a countable number of values. Continuous, can take any value within an interval. C. Probability mass function, PMF, for discrete variables P, x equals x, for each possible value x. D. Probability density function, PDF, for continuous variables, f, x, such that P, a less than or equal to x less than or equal to B, equals indefinite integral AB f, x, dxe. Cumulative distribution function, CDF f, x, equals P, x less than or equal to x, for both discrete and continuous variables. Expected value and variance. A. Expected value, mean E, x, equals sigma x asterisk P, x equals x, for discrete variables. E, x equals indefinite integral x asterisk f, x, dx for continuous variables. B. Variance, var, x equals E, x, x2 equals E, x2, E, x2. C. Standard deviation, sigma equals square root var, x. Probability distributions. Common distributions include A. Discrete, Bernoulli, binomial, Poisson, geometric. B. Continuous, normal, Gaussian, uniform, exponential, beta. Limit theorems. A. Law of large numbers, as sample size increases, the sample mean converge to the expected value. B. Central limit theorem, the distribution of sample means approaches a normal distribution as sample size increases, regardless of the underlying distribution. Stochastic processes, collections of random variables indexed by time or space. Examples: Markov chains, Poisson processes, Brownian motion. Applications: probability theory is applied in numerous fields, including statistics and data analysis, machine learning and artificial intelligence, physics and quantum mechanics, finance and risk assessment, epidemiology and public health, engineering and quality control. The theory of probability provides a rigorous mathematical framework for dealing with uncertainty and randomness. It forms the foundation for statistical inference, decision theory, and many areas of applied mathematics and science. Its concepts and methods are essential tools for understanding and analyzing complex systems and making informed decisions in the face of uncertainty. The central limit theorem (CLT) is one of the most fundamental and powerful concepts in probability theory and statistics. It has far-reaching implications for statistical inference and helps explain why many natural phenomena follow a normal distribution. Let's explore the central limit theorem in detail. Basic statement: the central limit theorem states that when you have a sufficiently large sample size, the distribution of sample means approximates a normal distribution, regardless of the underlying population distribution. Key components: A. Sample mean, the average of a sample drawn from a population. B. Sampling distribution, the distribution of sample means across many samples of the same size. C. Population distribution, the original distribution from which samples are drawn. Formal statement: given independent and identically distributed IID random variables x1, x2, xn, each with mean mu and finite variance 2. Sample size n is sufficiently large, then the sampling distribution of the sample mean x approaches a normal distribution with mean equals mu, variance equals 2/n. Key conditions: A. Independence, the samples must be independently drawn. B. Identical distribution, all samples come from the same population distribution. C. Finite variance, the population variance must be finite. D. Sample size, generally, n greater than or equal to 30 is considered sufficient for most distributions, but this can vary. Implications: A. Normality, even if the original population is not normally distributed, the sampling distribution of the mean will be approximately normal for large samples. B. Precision, as sample size increases, the standard error, standard deviation of the sampling distribution decreases. C. Standardization, the standardized sample mean, z equals x mu /sigma √n, follows a standard normal distribution. Applications: A. Statistical inference, enables the use of normal distribution-based methods for hypothesis testing and confidence intervals. B. Quality control, used in monitoring manufacturing processes and product quality. C. Financial modeling, helps in understanding the behavior of portfolio returns. D. Survey sampling, provides a basis for estimating population parameters from sample statistics. Variations and extensions: A. Lyapunov CLT, relaxes the requirement for identical distributions. B. Multivariate CLT, extends the theorem to vector-valued random variables. C. Bayesian theorem, provides bounds on the rate of convergence to the normal distribution. Limitations and considerations: A. Sample size, the approximation improves with larger sample sizes. B. Extreme tails, the approximation may be less accurate in the extreme tails of the distribution. C. Non-I.I.D cases, special considerations are needed for dependent or non-identically distributed variables. Historical context: the theorem has roots in the work of Abraham de Moivre in the 18th century. It was formally stated and proved by Pierre-Simon Laplace in 1810. Further refinements and generalizations were made by mathematicians throughout the 19th and 20th centuries. Practical significance: the central limit theorem is crucial because it justifies the use of normal distribution-based methods in many statistical applications, explains why many natural and social phenomena exhibit normal distributions, provides a foundation for inferential statistics and hypothesis testing, allows for the estimation of population parameters with known precision. The central limit theorem is a cornerstone of statistical theory and practice. It bridges the gap between theoretical probability distributions and real-world data analysis, making it possible to draw reliable inferences about populations from sample data. Its power lies in its generality, applying to a wide range of underlying distributions and thus providing a robust tool for statistical analysis across many fields of study. A random variable is a fundamental concept in probability theory and statistics. Let's explore in detail what a random variable is, its characteristics, and its applications. Definition: a random variable is a function that assigns a numerical value to each possible outcome of a random experiment. More formally, it's a function that maps from the sample space, the set of all possible outcomes of an experiment, to the real numbers. Notation: random variables are typically denoted by uppercase letters such as x, y, z. The specific values that the random variable can take are represented by corresponding lowercase letters, such as x, y, z. Types of random variables: A. Discrete random variables, take values in a countable set, finite or countably infinite. Examples: number of heads when flipping a coin 10 times, number of customers in a store, characterized by their probability mass function, PMF. B. Continuous random variables, can take any value within a continuous interval. Examples: a person's height, waiting time in a queue, characterized by their probability density function, PDF. Cumulative distribution function, CDF, defined for both types of random variables. F x equals p, x less than or equal to x, i.e., the probability that the random variable x is less than or equal to x. It's a non-decreasing and right continuous function. Limits: lim x dash infinity f x equals 0 and lim x plus infinity f x equals 1. Characteristics of random variables. A expected value or mean represents the average value of the random variable. For discrete variables, e x equals sigma x asterisk p x equals x. For continuous variables, e x equals indefinite integral x asterisk f x dxb. Variance measures the spread of values around the mean. var x equals e x2 equals e x2 standard deviation, square root of the variance. Sigma equals square root var x. Functions of random variables. A function of a random variable is also a random variable. Example: if x is a random variable, then y equals x2 or y equals ln x are also random variables. Common probability distributions. A discrete Bernoulli models a single trial with two possible outcomes. Binomial sum of independent Bernoulli trials. Poisson models rare events in a fixed interval. Geometric number of trials until the first success. B continuous normal Gaussian, the most common, characterized by its bell shape. Uniform equal probability for all values in an interval. Exponential time between events in a Poisson process. Gamma generalization of the exponential. Moments of a random variable, raw moments, e x caret k, for k equals 1, 2, 3. Central moments, e x caret k, for k equals 2, 3. Useful for characterizing the shape of the distribution. Independence of random variables. Two random variables x and y are independent if for all values x and y. P x less than or equal to x, y less than or equal to y equals p x less than or equal to x asterisk p y less than or equal to y. Transformations of random variables. Change of variable, useful for deriving new distributions. Example: if x follows a standard normal distribution, then y equals x2 follows a chi-square distribution. Applications: modeling random phenomena in physics, biology, economics, etc. Basis for statistical inference and data analysis. Fundamental in probability theory and stochastic processes. Essential in information theory and coding. Law of large numbers relates the behavior of random variables to their expected values. Weak version: the sample mean converge in probability to the expected value. Strong version: the sample mean converge almost surely to the expected value. Central limit theorem states that the sum of independent and identically distributed random variables tends towards a normal distribution. Fundamental for many statistical applications. Joint distributions describe the behavior of two or more random variables together, characterized by joint PMFs, PDFs, or CDFs. Allow for the study of relationships between random variables. Conditional distributions describe the behavior of a random variable given information about another. Crucial for understanding dependencies between variables. Expectation and covariance, e.g., x, expected value of a function of a random variable. Cov, x, y measures the linear relationship between two random variables. Order statistics describe the distribution of the kth smallest, or largest, value in a sample. Important in non-parametric statistics and extreme value theory. Generating functions, moment generating function, m_x, t equals e caret tx. Characteristic function, _x, t equals e caret it x. Useful tools for deriving properties of distributions and sums of random variables. Limit theorems. Besides the central limit theorem, there are other important limit theorems like the law of the iterated logarithm. These theorems describe the asymptotic behavior of random variables and are crucial in probability theory. Random variables are a powerful tool for modeling and analyzing phenomena involving uncertainty. They provide a bridge between the abstract concepts of probability and practical applications in statistics and data science. Their study is essential for understanding how random systems work and how we can make inferences about them. The concept of random variables underlies much of modern statistics, machine learning, and data analysis. It allows us to quantify uncertainty, make predictions, and understand complex systems in fields ranging from physics and engineering to economics and social sciences. That was all. Have a nice day.